Elena looked out over the sprawling Drake estate she once called home. Perfectly manicured hedges, water features that made the Getty Villa look like a splash pad. The grounds were eloquent, but reeked of new money. Suddenly, Elena went ramrod straight, her stomach turning over as a wave of nausea overtook her. And before she knew it, she was retching into nearby bushes. Once her stomach emptied, she steadied herself, dabbing at the corners of her mouth with a handkerchief. "Thank God we kept your glam team on retainer. You look terrible, darling." Her mother's voice cut through the tranquil air, sharp as ever. "Come, give Mommy a hug." Elena forced a smile as she traipsed across the Drake Estate's endless sea of green turf towards the infinity pool where her mother, Vivian Drake, lounged. Vivian, a woman made of more Botox than estrogen, had lived a hard life and was forced to make hard decisions. But like all rags to riches stories, after meeting the man of her dreams, she landed herself in a Bel Air paradise, where the hardest decision she ever had to make was still water or sparkling. Elena bent towards her mother, embracing her with rigid arms, the tang of the pool's chlorine spurring on another round of nausea that she fought to stave off. 10 months away, and that's the first thing you say to me? Elena was slowly starting to remember why she left her family in the first place. Vivian waved a manicured hand, dismissing Elena's indignation. "I would have mentioned it at your wedding, but apparently my invite got lost in the mail. Besides, tell me I'm wrong. I bet you won't." Elena's jaw tightened. She wanted to argue with her mother, but she couldn't. Vivian was right. She was miserable, and it wasn't just her raging hormones. Vivian squeezed Elena's hand. "Tell Mommy what's wrong." Despite herself, Elena sunk into the chair beside her mother and felt the dam burst. The words tumbled out in a rush. The sham of a marriage built on Logan's grandfather's ultimatum, Logan's betrayal with Ivy, and the baby Logan believed was lost. Vivian listened, unflappable as ever, her only movements the occasional stir of her martini or the precise placement of an olive in her drink. When Elena finally fell silent, Vivian tilted her head, her expression one of practiced sympathy. "Sweetheart, men like Logan Bennett are a dime a dozen. The trick isn't finding one. It's plucking the right one at the right time. And you have," she gestured vaguely toward Elena's midsection, "about 12 weeks before that becomes infinitely more difficult." Elena's hands brushed over her abdomen, more aware of the ticking time bomb inside her than ever before. Meanwhile, across town, Logan Bennett was kneeling on the smooth Malibu sands where a private dining area was situated. Before him stood Ivy Monroe, a leaf of a woman who years earlier had saved his life and stolen his heart. His arm was extended before her, and in his hand was the 5-carat diamond ring he had begrudgingly offered Elena 10 months earlier. "Waste not, want not." "Oh my freaking God! Yes, Logan! Yes!" Ivy shrieked in delight as Logan slid the massive diamond ring onto her finger. "Champagne!" Logan snapped his fingers, sending a nearby waiter scuttling back to the seaside restaurant that loomed in the background, then turned back to admire his new fiancé. Ivy was everything Elena wasn't. Adoring, uncomplicated, flawless. Even her tears of joy were perfect. Not a single streak of mascara marring her face. Logan had imagined this moment hundreds of times over the years, and the proposal had gone exactly as planned. But still, something gnawed at him, distracted him, and fought for his attention when all he really wanted was to strip Ivy naked and make love to her right then and there. "Sir?" The waiter jolted Logan from his thoughts, offering 2 stemmed glasses full of bubbling champagne. Ivy grasped onto one glass, Logan the other. "To new beginnings." Logan raised his champagne when suddenly his hand trembled, a subtle but persistent reminder of the plane crash that had first brought Ivy into his life. Ivy steadied his hand. "To us." She smiled and kissed him softly before downing her glass. "I'm thinking a winter wedding fits us best." Ivy immediately shifted into planning mode. Vail? Maybe the Alps? Either way, we need Kurt Van Dutch. He came in at the last minute to plan Harry and Meghan's ceremony. It was a hot mess before that, but you didn't hear that from me. Ivy motioned to the waiter for another glass of champagne. Whatever you want, my love. Logan smiled back robotically, struggling to keep up. As Ivy sipped from her glass, Logan's eyes locked on the ring, the one he had originally given to Elena, and there it was again. A pang of, what? Guilt? What did he have to feel guilty about? Not for leaving Elena, a woman he never truly loved. Their divorce was bound to happen. No, he refused to feel guilty about that. About choosing the love of his life over someone he was forced to marry. Looks like the paparazzi have arrived. Ivy giggled excitedly. Smile for the cameras, honey. Logan did as he was told. Later that evening, Elena lay in her childhood bed, musing over the choices that led her to rock bottom, when her phone sounded with a news alert that, while unsurprising, still stung. Logan Bennett's mystery fiancé. Elena scrolled through the Gossip Rags article, spying pictures of Logan with a tall brunette she was sure was Ivy Monroe. He couldn't even wait a day. Tears burned in her eyes, betraying the anger bubbling inside her. Darling, are you crying? Stop that at once. Vivian's voice sliced through Elena's haze of emotion as she breezed into the room. In her wake followed a battalion of sharply dressed PR specialists, their tablets glowing like shields ready for battle. Elena barely had time to register the newcomers before they began talking over each other, tossing out buzzwords like narrative control and sympathy spin. A whiteboard appeared, populated with names, dates, and diagrams, as if her life were a corporate restructuring project. Vivian stood at the center, sipping her martini with the air of a general surveying her troops. Elena, darling, listen carefully. Vivian looked down at her as though speaking to a child. We'll leak divorce rumors first, just a whisper to pique curiosity. Then we'll place you at key events, galas, charity dinners, that sort of thing. You'll be seen with eligible suitors, nothing serious, just enough to remind the world you're desirable. By the time your little bundle shows, you'll be married to someone who makes Logan Bennett look like a valet. She smiled as though the plan were already in motion. Elena felt the walls closing in. This was the world she thought she'd escaped when she married Logan. People buzzing around her, maneuvering her like a piece on a chessboard. Everyone in control of her life but her. Her mother's voice faded into the background, replaced by the drumming of her pulse. She looked around the room. The polished PR professionals. Her mother, cool and commanding as ever. The whiteboard is full of timelines that didn't feel like hers. And then she looked down at her own hands, folded protectively over her stomach. The weight of it all pressed down on her chest until it felt like she couldn't breathe. Enough! Her voice was quiet but sharp, cutting through the din like a blade. The room stilled, all eyes snapping to her. Vivian raised a perfectly sculpted brow. Elena, darling, this is not the time for theatrics. I said enough! Elena's voice rose, trembling but resolute. She stood, her hands clenched into fists at her sides, her nails digging into her palms as a fresh surge of anger overtook her. She thought of Logan, lying in bed with Ivy, laughing about how easy it had all been to discard her. She thought of her mother, treating her life like a board game to be won at all costs. And then she thought of the baby growing inside her, the one thing in all this chaos that was hers. This isn't your life, Mother. It's mine. And I'm not going to spend it letting other people tell me what to do. Her voice was steady now, her anger sharpening into something cold and clear. We'll be handling this my way. Vivian opened her mouth to argue, but closed it again, perhaps recognizing for the first time that her daughter wasn't the same girl who'd left this house 10 months ago. Elena turned on her heels and walked out of the room, her head held high. As she passed one of the mansion's countless mirrors, she caught a glimpse of herself, pale, tired, but with a fire in her eyes that hadn't been there before. Logan thought he could control her. Her mother thought she could shape her. They were both wrong. This time, Elena Drake was in control. and she was going to make sure the world remembered her name.